Little eyes. Recognizing your little eyes prior, and in these days, both of us now sighing, and you now crying, over the fact that though trying from your view, you too recognize that this new normal is not really you, and me in agreement that we don't like this view. As both of us are now witnessing and now seeing only that of eyes of tall and small beings, and you, little eyes, who once held reflections, expressing one's affections, are now filled with aggressions, held back by words of protections and constant corrections, confines and guidelines and constant signs. And you then turn to me and ask why. Why we must now stand like mimes when other pass us by, as you cry because you just want to say hi, as you wave from 6 feet now just to greet. Resistance to social distance is frustrating to see. As your mother, our faces now covered, now smothered from nose to chin, hiding your beautiful grin and beautiful brown skin in this new world that you weren't ready to begin. And now your dimples, once perky and distinct, have now begun to shrink because you've been giving too much time to think, and now you sink. Left now to consume the instrumental of only the blues of that of the morning and the evening news, as you look to me confused and no longer amused and no longer enthused, wishing only to now only be recused and sit alone in your room, dressed in, dress up, and fed up in a world with no guest, with just enough air to only ingest, televised protest, and that of continued arrest. For this new normal is dressed as a formal, yet you're not impressed, because the suit alone is not tailored but abnormal and sits heavy on your chest. Little eyes, now expected to be wise, but you don't want to rise, giving me only now looks of surprise, in a world for you that mimics now faces of robbers and spies. Mission impossible, and your mission's been compromised by a president who only lies, and then tries to deny, and then decides no empathy, while listening to a continuous symphony of black and brown cries, but yet chooses to collect, then neglect the tears of black mothers, because for him they're just considered just others, not caring about our brothers whom have died by suicide or homicide. Either way, he's satisfied, and these thoughts will always be classified as he continues to hide and ride high in the skies, or out and about he leaves nothing but doubt, pointing always to that of alternative routes to drown out the shouts, leaving many in disbelief with no relief, as essential workers all improvise just to save lives in a system to which they used to thrive, yet now only are left coping and hoping with hopes of staying alive and to survive, as overtime is now filled with that of goodbyes, because of so many lights that used to shine have now gone out and are dim and now have died. And now the world and you, little eyes, are terrified and horrified because the normalization of one man's lies, whom though unqualified, the office remains preoccupied and undignified as he pays close attention to only his mentions. A president who is concerned with that of only his Twitter threads instead of the dead, as many of us have chosen to ignore, hitting the floor, taking cover instead. Ears now tone deaf and dead to anything that he's saying or has said. We now watch the misled, watching them too be mistaken, and them too being taken out of the box of comfortability and into a new world filled with hostility and no humility and no stability, as the clock is now left counterclockwise spinning, as we're asked to stay in our caves, unbothered and unscathed, as the world waits to debate at entrances now that are filled with security and gates. And for you, it's a mistake, because you're losing playtime, standing alone in long lines and bearing witness as needs turn to greeds of that of food and now supplies, in which leaves me to now chastise and advertise the need to constant sanitize while wiping your crying eyes. As I repeat, please take a seat and don't touch, come here, and please, Kennedy, stay close and stay near. And though I know you now feel enslaved, and you know Jesus saves, mommy needs you to be brave, for this new world of masquerade ask you to suppress the energy in which you is naturally engraved. As we go from safe and secure, firmly seated, to that in public and now greeted by words under steamy and heated mask, sounds now muffled, so you turn to me and ask, and I've now been deemed the task to repeat when your ears meet defeat of what's been said, arms now shielding you from the spread and shielding you from the pressure of dread that lies like that of a heavy boulder on this new world's new shoulder, as we watch her come to her knees, trying to inhale, yet struggling to breathe. Yet if only, child, you knew that this parent is hurting and struggling too, with this new world's late debut, as we parents weren't told what to do, walking into what feels like a nightmare, as we watch you now scared, as your little eyes stare bare into that of lasers with people in safety blazers. And if only, child, you knew that us parents are just doing the best that we can as we continue to hold and mold your small little hands in this unknown and foreign new land in which we did not plan to work from homes and also teach, as we must now practice what we preach, all while keeping you within safety's reach because of a trust for us that has been breached. Mommy hurts when I see the tears in your eyes, asking when will this pandemic end and deem no longer a trend, as you just want to see your friends. Because the world you once remembered no longer lingers, yet now only resumes on FaceTime, Google, and Zooms, giving you little to no room to be groomed in full bloom. But I'm sorry, little eyes, as I must remind that none of us know the date and time when this will end. For now we must all apprehend this new existence in which we wave from a distance, showing love with no hugs and meet and greets from our seats. Parents, I now shift and encourage you all to not sit back and watch our family clocks tick-tock and then fall, but to shift the focus from the current calamity to the importance of that of one's family. For it is those with that of little eyes in which this virus has truly forsaken, as childhoods have been awakened and then taken, leaving their little hearts breaking, because of what was once hidden is now exposed, open and now disclosed. Together closely as a family we must now grow in wisdom and in faith. As I feel the Lord saith, in these unprecedented times, every day we must continue to rise and then strive to empathize with that most of those of little eyes, and for their world to soon stabilize. As we are all in this together, regardless of the weather, walking into that of the unknown. But I thank God, for we are not alone, as God still sits on his throne and is still in control, unchanging, unwavering, always sovereign, and always sincere. Look to God now and continue not to fear. He sees us. Seek him always, and he will soon appear.